this stuff. Somebody next time remind me to start recording from the very beginning. We haven't really started much of anything, so it's fine. And when we talk about the syllabus, we'll go through some of this stuff again. Now, so I would be the only one working with you through this process, and the other two members of the committee will look at the final product. Okay? And we all, because we're all faculty and we're all professors, we basically evaluate the work along the same same standards. So it's not like one person, one person, one person, one person. Okay? But it's very important that for you to know that the work will need to be approved by all three. Okay, meaning do good work, and you'll be fine if the work is where it should be. If your work quacks like the sample paper, it will be fine. Okay, it's not the most most intuitive process, but that's how it's done, and that's the cards that we dealt with. So let's try to get it done without the least pain or the least stress. Okay. All right. Hello. Who was that? Okay. All right. So let's go through the syllabus, shall we? Yeah. You have a copy? All right. So once again, the capstone paper, I think a couple of you didn't take 620 with me because there are a couple of names I didn't recognize. Or am I mistaken? But I hope you still have some of your stuff from 620. If not, that's okay. I'll post some of this stuff on Canvas. But there's a reason why it was structured that way, 620, right? Because it's the exact same process. Coming up with a research question, well, coming up with a research topic, and then a research question, and then what's the next section? A literature review, and it's a much longer literature review because this is a capstone paper. It's supposed to review the entire field, what we know about that specific topic. So much more broad, and yet, right, ultimately, also it's a review of the entire body of knowledge, and yet, ultimately, remember the goal. A literature review is not just a bunch of summaries. It's actually, there's an agenda from the point of view of the writer. You are leading, you're educating your readers and leading your readers to what you are writing, to your topic, right? So we'll deal with that later on. So let me backtrack. Section 1 is the introduction. Section 2 is the literature review. Section 3, methodology. Remember all that stuff about population, target population, and then sampling, and then some of that methodological issues. That's when it comes handy, right? And so much of it is about your understanding of your topic, right? If you understand the topic, then probably you understand whom, what kind of people you want to gather data from, and then what are their characteristics, right? So basically, that section is to explain to your reader what have you done as a researcher to make sure that you get the most representative sample. Remember the term? Representative sample, right? We'll go through that, of course. And then section 4, background. That's a part that's a little bit different from what we've done in 620. But section 5, recommendations. Remember, we did policy recommendations or policy implications, right? In the conclusion part, right? So if you think about it, if you try to remember, I know it's a year and a half ago. I mean, I was a different man. But a year and a half ago, we covered this stuff. Hopefully, there's enough that you remember to help you go through this process with less pain. And that's the thing, right? The least pain and utmost efficiency. All right. So let's see. The syllabus. Sorry. All right. So course description. Basically, yep. Summarize the entire program, right? Since spring 2017, is that when you guys started? All right. Oh, good. Yeah, the textbook is going to be useful. Perfect. Oh, good. If you don't, well, if you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. I'll give you material, but if you have it, then you have something to go back to, right? And I'll post all the PowerPoints so that you have something to look at. You don't have access to the old PowerPoints anymore, right? Because it moved from Moodle to Canvas, right? Yeah, I have all the PowerPoints, so and I'll of course give you a refresh session on the material. Okay. So partly, I think the most efficient way to do this, for those of you who still haven't decided, so all your research topics are approved. Is anybody still not approved with their research topic, or everybody is approved? My suggestion, it's well, because you have sat through all these courses and you've been exposed to all this material. Use that, right? There's no need to reinvent the wheel. So think about the all the courses and all the readings you have done. And if there's something relevant, bring it in. Bring it into your project because you've read it, right? And so that makes it, you know, or it helps with the workload, right? But anyways, yeah. Continue under course description. This involves completing a project report. In that case, we're not exactly doing a project report, but a proposal like the one like the one that's posted on Canvas, right? A research proposal, meaning you don't have the findings yet. You're telling us how you're about to conduct a research without having actually conducted. And the best part is that, once again, did I mention it already? You don't need to have the research instrument. Okay? If you have the instrument, then you can choose to include the research instrument. By that, I mean the survey or the interview schedule or whatever. But sometimes the drawback is that the more you include, the more we can pick on. Not that we are looking for it, but you know, if you give us more to look at, then it's easier. It is possible for us to find more issues, right? So if you don't, unless you really want to share with us your research instrument, that's lovely, that's great. But yeah, there's no need to go through that extra step, right? And less work is good, right? Okay, so right. The course prerequisite, of course, blah, 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 blah. Under course overview, okay? So forget about some of that stuff. It needs to be revised. But what is true is credit, no credit. You know that, right? This course is credit, no credit. Okay. Right, and we start meeting face-to-face October 25th, right? And same place, South Vermont. Okay, learning outcomes, let's skip that part. All right, so middle part of the page, right? The middle part of the page, 25 pages. If you look at what has been posted, the content, the main body of the paper is 21 pages, right? And then with the introduction or the abstract, and yeah, the abstract, with the abstract, that's 22, 23, and that's fine, all right? It's not like it's carved in stone 25, 25, 25, but 25, it's, you know, what we normatively expect from you. But it's okay to have a couple of pages short, but you know, don't give me 18 and expect to pass, all right? And like I said, it's not just me, it's other members of the faculty, it's also the entire MPA program, okay? And some of you have been working on your literature review, and when you keep developing your literature review, you realize that 25 pages is really not that impossible, right? You keep reading, and then there's more aspect of the issue that you want to discuss in the literature review, and then you keep developing, and before you know it, you have at least 22, 3, 4 pages, right? So I know some, it might seem insurmountable at first when it the 25-page expectation, but you know, it's not impossible. And then APA formatting. Have they talked to you about formatting? Now, that's the other thing about the graduate division, because for us, for faculty, of course, we want a paper that follows appropriate formatting. However, the people who really care about that stuff is not the faculty. It's actually grad division, because ultimately your capstone paper will become binded and get stored in the library, and they want it to follow a very specific format. All right, so you'll see the formatting, and it's very standard across all disciplines. But guess what? So the margin of the page, right, and what needs to be included on the page, it's all formatted, okay? And you have to make sure that you follow the formatting to the T, because they can reject your project based on formatting alone. So it's really annoying, and you know, I'm frustrated by it. I'm angered by it, but yeah, that's how the process is designed, and there's nothing I can do about it. So let's just try to make sure that we get it done right the first time, so that we don't have another thing hang over our heads, right? So APA, all right. By now, hopefully, you are more familiar with the reference and APA and all that more or less tedious stuff. All right, so, and I've included some of the material on Canvas, so you can click. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, but I mean, it's not that big of a hassle, but it's a hassle, right? So what I would encourage you to do, and it's the same thing I've been talking about all along. When you put together your literature review, that's the same time, because the bulk of all your references are in your literature review. So that's exactly the same time that you start working on your reference section to make sure that everything is already halfway done. Okay. All right. So, right, APA style tutorial, and then I posted the link to the Purdue University. They have a really good, well put together resource and reference guide for you. So take a look, all right? So take a look in the next couple of days and this weekend. All right. Under students' commitment. The seminar adopts a student-centered learning approach that expects students to be active, meaning you have to participate, okay? You have to let me know where are the problems, and then I'll try to help you fix it, okay? So active and responsible participants in their learning. Responsible, we'll go through that in a second. Yeah, it requires a lot of self-discipline. I'm seeing you once a week, and sometimes we do twice a week through this computer screen, and until October, that's the interaction we have. And by October, we should be already halfway done, or more than halfway done with this project. So don't slack off. Seriously, don't fall behind. All right. Let's see. When it comes to reading assignments, my philosophy is to get this done with the least workload on you, because I know writing this paper is already a lot of work. And some of the folks, you know, they want you to read a book on how to write a thesis. I personally don't think that it is necessary. I believe in learning by doing, okay? And once again, the sample paper, that's your friend, all right? Take a look and figure out what the person is doing and why the person does it this way. And then once again, reverse the process, reverse engineer, and see if you can build your own duck out of this thing. And we'll go through it together, all right? All right, next page. Right, my commitment is to provide timely feedback. Yeah, this time I'll be following your work a lot more closely. I'll try to give you feedback within 24 hours. All right. It's kind of interesting that they didn't have enough folks to work on mentoring capstone, and you know, they asked me if I want to do it. It's a lot more workload than I anticipated, but the program needs, and I try to be a good team player. All right. So under next page, course requirements. You're expected to participate in every session, okay? If you miss one of these sessions, and there's a reason why I'm recording, and once again, next time, could somebody please remind me to press the record button, all right? I'm counting on you. So if you have to miss a class or these sessions, it's not the end of the world, but please, please, please watch the video, okay? And catch up and ask questions. And the other thing I'm doing, there's each week, right, there will be a discussion link on Canvas. I know you think, oh, maybe that's my question only. Other people might. Don't worry about it. Just post a question on the discussion link on Canvas so that everybody can see, and a lot of people might be sharing the same questions or having the same doubts, right? So if you post a question, then I answer. That helps you too, and you know, your colleagues. So do that. Active participation is crucial to the learning process in the course. If a student fails to participate and submit the first two deliverables, it's one of those like hip new term deliverables instead of assignments. I'll talk about it in a second. So if you didn't finish and submit the first two assignments, the student may be dropped from the course at the discretion of the instructor and or the director of the MPA program, because you would be way too behind to catch up, all right? Recommended book. Like I said, it's not necessary because you'll find resources online. So yeah, that's not really yeah, a necessary purchase. Okay. Assignments, deliverables. Right. So essentially, four things, and those are the four major parts of your project. So you, if you see under assignments overview, right? Topic selection paper. So that's why I'm asking you to send me your research proposal at your earliest convenience so that I can take a look at it and understand what you are working on, and so that I might help you focus your research question a little bit more. All right. So that is due on the 20th of September. So that gives us a little bit over less than a month, but a few weeks. So that's and if you already have the proposal done already. And then the next big thing, literature review. That's due October 15th. Meaning, don't just work on your research proposal. Don't just work on your topic paper. All right. If you're done with your topic paper, don't just sit there and do nothing. Push ahead. Work on your literature review, because it's only 2 weeks, roughly 2 weeks between the topic selection paper and literature review. And it goes by just like that, right? And there'll be more information about each of these assignments in the next pages. So, but I just want to go through it. The project's design. So that's pretty much the method section. Okay. The method section, it's 20 days after the literature review is done. And the last bit, there's a last section in the proposal, and then you put the whole thing together. And that's due November 17th. So hopefully, by November 17th, we can all take a deep breath and just fix minor things and then send it to grad division and the committee and get your papers signed off and have a Merry Christmas, right? Or a Happy Holidays, right? Okay. Next page. This is weird. Assignments. Okay, so like I said, four major things, right? Don't worry too much about the required and optional readings. That's just because we are all sharing a very similar template for the syllabus, and each of us do things a little bit differently. And like I said, I'm not assigning readings or anything like that, because that's just going to increase your workload, right? The most important thing that we're looking at is the topic selection paper, right? And it should be the first assignment, if they're not counting your research proposal or topic proposal. So the assignment is the selection of a research topic. Remember the process that we've done in 620? The easiest way to think about it is to think causally. Is something affecting something, right? Is something changing something on something else? Is X causing changes in Y? That is going to help you in your thinking process and in phrasing that research question, right? If you're thinking causally, what is X and what is Y? And how is X causing changes or affecting Y? If you're clear about it, and if you're already there, then great. If either Anais or Henrik, if they make comments about your research topic proposal, and if they think you have it clear enough, then great. That's That's a third of the battle. But if you're still working on it, but that's fine. But like I said, just think about the causality or the causal relationship in the topic that you're interested in, right? Yes, topic can be very broad, but as soon as you come up with that causal relationship, then it brings a lot of focus into your research problem, and it's much easier to go from there. Continuing in the paragraph, the student must choose an issue that is relevant to public administration or management science and management sciences, and explain why this topic is important for the public sector. Now, remember the same principles, right? The first section, the introduction section, is about contextualizing. It's about introducing your topic. What is the problem and how big is the problem and why should I care? As a reader and as a professional in a field, why should I care about that specific issue that you want me to care about, right? So, in other words, why would it be worthwhile? Now, later on today, we'll look at the sample paper, the introductory section. We're only going to look at the introduction section today. But that's exactly what a person did right. Introducing the research problem and also telling us how big is the problem and why is it important for readers to read about it. Okay. Continuing with the syllabus, this first draft of your project's pitch, quote unquote pitch, should give your readership a general idea of what is it you wish to say. And remember, I kept talking about definition. Right, 620. When you were working on your research question, I kept asking you to the point that most people so far, but I kept asking you, what do you mean by that, right? And that's the process. In the introduction section, you are helping your readers who never met you, who never talked to you, to understand what exactly is the issue that you're talking about. So, yeah, what is it you wish to study, why this topic is of importance for society, how big is the problem, right? How many people are affected, how much money is spent annually in trying to fix whatever problem that you're working on, right? Money talks. And explicitly target a dilemma, a wicked problem. Public sector elements such as challenge or administrative problem to be understood or resolved, right? And potentially your study is going to, without actually doing the study, because we're only working on a research proposal. But if you were to conduct the proposal, you're going to bring a lot understanding to this problem, right? That's how you package what you're doing. This assignment should build on a general review of the topic itself. Use references. Yeah, we're going to look at the introduction section and identify the broader theme you want your project to target. You do not have to commit on specific problem because it's subject to fine-tuning. However, I want you to work on it enough so that the first shot is the shot that actually lands. Okay? And of course, I'm going to help you with that. But it would be helpful for you to have identified some of the dimensions of the problem. Moving forward, you will address one of these dimensions and narrow down this broader topic. Narrow down, right? Be specific. The problem is huge. You can only pick one piece of it to address in your paper, and you don't even have to really address it. Through analyzing pertinent literature. Due date, September, it should be September 20th. I Hold on, give me 1 second. I should have caught that. Let's say September 20th. Okay, I'll revise this, or somebody, if you don't see that change on Canvas, would somebody please remind me? Okay, so due date of the topic selection paper, once again, September 20th, 2018. And you don't have to submit a paper, just send it to me, okay? And yes, everything goes through your mortal enemy, turnitin.com, okay? Because it's important that your writing or your work to be original. And the same 15%, right? So yeah, you can revise it, you can revise it until the due date. But same standards, 15% on turnitin.com. And you see the link on Canvas. Okay, this assignment represents about 15% of the effort. Okay, that's 15% of your final course grade. So credit, no credit, 15% comes from there. Note that you will go over several versions and redraft this portion of the final project throughout the writing of your project. Yeah, I know. You think you're done, but guess what? That's a process of writing. And to be honest, you should never be like perfectly happy with your work, right? So I'll make suggestions and we'll keep working on it. So don't lose patience on me, okay? I know it's a little annoying, but yeah, that's the process. But what's the paper like? 3 to 5 pages, Times New Roman, double spaced. And once again, to be submitted by September 20th, both on turnitin.com and sent me as an attachment, okay? But don't send me a PDF. Send me as a Word file so that I can make comments, right? And that process is going to be very important, comments. And for those who sent me your research proposal by tomorrow, I'll start looking at it and I'll start giving you feedback as soon as possible so that you can work on this process, right? And again, I might be a little, especially, well, but you guys know me. So my comments might be a little brief, right? But that's because I want to be precise instead of being rude or, whatever reactions you think I was trying to, let's see, 15%, not 50%. Okay, 50% would be half the paper. If you think about it, 50 would mean that half your paper is cut and paste, right? That wouldn't be acceptable by any stretch, right? So 15%. Okay, and remember, paraphrase, and guess what? Paraphrase. Okay, so after that is done, we'll work on the literature review, all right? And the literature review, I've already posted that PowerPoint on Canvas, how to put together a literature review, right? And we'll talk about it some more. And remember what I said about literature review. What I do is that, first of all, I use keywords to do search, and then that already tells you which stack the paper belongs to. And I start organizing the papers very, very early. Organizing it by theme and organizing it by, of course, by topic, but also by theme, right? And the sooner you start organizing your readings, the easier it gets in actually structuring the literature review portion, right? Because the section is about theme, and ultimately, once again, is about narrowing the entire field of knowledge and leading the reader to what you are doing, right? Okay. Any questions so far? If you have questions, of course, you can type on a chat room or you can unmute and just ask a question. That's fine too, right? And start collecting sources, right? Some of you said 10 sources, but for the capstone paper, at least 20, right? Um, and yeah, and if you think about it, 20, if you pick 20 to represent an entire field of knowledge, that's barely enough, right? Okay. The other, so literature review, that's due October 15th, right? And it's, before you know it, it's October. I cannot believe it's already the end of August and beginning of September of 2018. So before you know it, it's going to be mid-October. And if you're not done by then, your literature review, or at least have the first draft, then we're gonna, you're in trouble, right? So that's literature review, and we'll go through it again, of course, later on. Uh, right. So for now, of course, you are sending me your topic research proposal, and I'm gonna look at it and get back to you before, hopefully, before the end of Thursday or before the end of Friday, depends on, what I need to do. But meanwhile, as soon as you hear back from me, I highly, strongly encourage you to push forward and start working on other parts, right? Okay. Academic integrity, that's where you see page 7 on the syllabus. Right, so once again, trillion.com, 15%, 1-5, right? And I don't need to warn you about plagiarism, fabrication. I had problems with some folks before, and you might think you're saving time, or you might think you are getting away with it easy, but it never works. It really never works, right? And you're just giving not just me but yourself problems. So just work on it, and I'll help you. Okay. Oh, the other thing is that for those of you who are struggling with writing a little bit, the College of Behavioral and Social Science, they do have a writing lab. They can't help you with the content because it's not their field. They don't understand what you guys are doing, public administration or management sciences. But they can help you with the writing. And that's very important, right? Because the writing process sometimes, and when you write the stuff, sometimes you don't see the problem with it. A second pair of eyes always helps. So I've included the link of the Writing Center. And it's no shame, right? It's no shame to ask for help. All of us need help. I ask my friends to read my writing all the time. So it's always a good idea to have somebody else read your writing for you, and to think about in terms of the language of it, right? Not the content, because you are the one who's working on the content, but to have somebody else to check the language and the writing, that helps a lot. Of course, it should be well written before, well written to your abilities before you ask somebody else to help you. But there's help somewhere there, okay? So if you want, you can take a look at the link that I posted on Canvas, and make sure you leave enough time, right? When you ask people to read your work and to give you comments, make sure that you leave people with enough time in order for them to review it for you, and also for you to make the revisions, right? And they can't just write your paper for you. You have to write your paper, and they help you fix it in terms of the writing, right? Okay. Yeah, and there are copy editors out there that helps you. That professional copy editors. That's another option. There's the CSBS, College of Social and Behavioral Science. That writing lab is free, all right? But if they can help you, then it's not a bad idea to look for a copy editor, right? And I'm sure if you do a search online, there's like tons of copy editors, and it shouldn't be too expensive. And if you do it bit by bit, well, the first paper is like 3 to 5 pages, right? It shouldn't be too bad, but it's important for the writing to be up to graduate education level, right? All right, so back to the syllabus. Reporting data, page 7. Reporting data from other sources. We talked about that, APA. There's no need to repeat, right? And page 8, same thing. Just how to cite. Hopefully by now you're a little bit more familiar with it. It's always a good idea to look at the guide before. It's easy to assume I know how to do it, but this stuff is more tedious than you think. So it's always a good idea to go back to the APA reference or to the link that I posted on Canvas to double check, right? Because like I said, if there's something wrong with the reference section, it's not us that rejects it. It's grad division. And that process would delay a lot of things from this point on, okay? So the grading system, it's pretty straightforward. Anything, I'm on page 9. So anything below 73, that would be a no credit, meaning you have to repeat the course and figure out something with Dr. Wynn, and I really, really, really hope that nobody has to go through that, right? Incomplete, let's not think about that. Let's all try to finish this semester, right? Yeah. Oh, by the way, no, this next page, sorry. Carnegie hours, not that important. Let's skip to a class schedule. Okay, so the scheduling is not, well, I am required to give you 10 virtual classroom sessions before we meet on October 25th. Okay, this is the first one, and we have 10 more. And if you look at some dates, a third down the page, additional virtual classroom session 4. And then another, that's one day after a regularly scheduled virtual classroom. Okay, that's because the Carnegie hours requiring how many hours of student contact, and that's why we have these virtual sessions 2 days in a row, right? So 11th and 12th, so mark your calendars, right? Not just regular Tuesdays, but those 2 days, 11th and 12th, okay? And then October 2nd and 3rd, those are the 2 weeks that will have sessions 2 days in a row, okay? And if we get done early, then we just get done early. It's not like we have to keep this open until, whatever. But yeah, it's just to make sure that you have enough time to ask questions and maybe issues for all of us to discuss and so on and so forth, right? Right, so like I said, most sessions are weekly until the 16th. That's the last Tuesday of this thing. And then no class that Thursday because you guys are still doing the other class meeting for the other class. And then face-to-face, our first face-to-face is October 25th. Note in the middle of the page under important deadlines, right? That's the first time we have to submit stuff to ETD. So my suggestion is don't wait until October 1st. And we'll work on it next week or something. I'll give you more information because I don't want to overwhelm you with everything. But you have to upload to the ETD your planning form. And well, first of all, you have to sign up for the ETD, and then you have to upload the planning form by 5 o'clock in the afternoon on October 1st. So don't miss this deadline, because if you miss this deadline, the first deadline, you'll have to wait until next semester. They are very, very, very inflexible about this, okay? So that's the first major deadline. If I were you, these days my Google Calendar is like, getting buckshot. It's like things everywhere because I'm helping you guys to keep track of things, and the nagging thing. Make sure I'll nag you enough so that you know all the deadlines and so on and so forth. Page 12, the second important deadline, November 5th. Preliminary formatting. Preliminary formatting is just the first few pages, all right? The first few pages of your draft to make sure that all the margins are correct. And then the signature page, everything is done according to specs. Once again, they are very, very, very inflexible. And if they don't like it, if they find something, you will have to, if it gets rejected, you'll have to revise it, and that delays the process. And that increases your anxiety level. And of course, if you are anxious, it spreads around, and makes me anxious, and nobody's happy, so on and so forth. And then the third, hopefully, knock on wood, the big one, December 10th. That's the final draft. Uploaded to ETD. That's the thing, final, right? And I'm not sure, the MPA program is going to inform all of us when we, the committee, actually review your paper, right? Those are two separate things, right? Uploading to ETD and us reviewing the paper, two separate processes. And ETD, once again, they are more concerned with the formatting. They don't care about, it's not their field. They don't know what's going on. So they are not gonna read the content, but they're gonna read, they're gonna inspect. And yes, they're gonna inspect the formatting, okay? So make sure that you follow the formatting to the T. And they have a tutorial, they have all their resources, but people get careless, okay? So don't get careless, be a little bit obsessive, all right? So 3 major dates, once again, October 1st, November 5th, and December 10th. And hopefully by December 10th, done, and then we meet that Thursday on December 13th, and done. Everybody gets signed off. That would be something to celebrate, right? Okay, next page. The competencies assessment, I'll just let you read it. And then it's better to understand it through doing, right? And then if we keep going, disability policies and academic conduct, I don't have to go through it. Now, last but not least in the syllabus, page 16. right? Again, take a look. A full research proposal. What is that? Well, essentially, more like a cousin, a smarter cousin of what we did in 620. Okay, 20 pages or more, double spaced, plus references and appendices. The research proposition should include, not necessarily in this order, but why change, right? If this is what we're telling you, hey, look at this, this is how you should do it. Why would you get creative, right? So be boring, but works. That's my approach to the dissertation and thesis process. Just make sure it works and get it done. So if you take a look on the page, under the research proposition should include a description in the chosen topic and its justification, pertinence, research aims, research questions, specifications of dimensions, variables, and hypotheses or hypothesis if applicable. Remember the thing about definition, right? Define everything. Make sure that you're explaining and specifying exactly what you mean by each component in your research question. If there's a hint, any room for confusion, then you need to explain it more. And to do it, just like here in the sample paper, this person used citations. What this person has said about this topic and cite, that's fail-safe, foolproof, right? Because if they are using citation as a way of defining the concepts and providing definitions, then it's foolproof. But that takes a little bit more reading, but it's really effective. We'll look at it in a second. So if you think about it, the first three items, right? A description of the chosen topic, research aims, and research questions, that should be in the introduction section, right? And yeah, each paragraph, easily, if you develop this section easily, it'll be 3 to 5 pages, easy, right? And the next part is literature review. Literature review is literature review. Well, look at it some more. Description of research methodology. Description of data collection. Right? You don't actually have to collect data, but describe how that would take place. And once again, it requires you to have a strong understanding of your population, who these people are, and why would they be representative, right? Why are they useful, right? And once again, if you look at published material, other papers that are published, just borrow what they not copy. I'm not saying copy, don't copy, but borrow what they're doing. And understand the logic that they are doing. They are doing the research that way, and borrow from them. Right? That would be the most efficient way. Why reinvent the wheel, right? And description of research methodology and description of data collection. Those two things are in the method section, section 3. And then the rest, ethical consideration, we'll talk about that later on, so don't worry about it for now. Validity and credibility of research. Remember, we talked about being critical with your own work, right? That's kind of where it comes in, right? And then recommendations or policy implications. So that's where you can include that section in the last part, right? So yeah, make sure that you keep this page, and when you are, well, it's helpful sometimes when you're stumped with your writing. Just make it easy. right? And then go through each of these items to see what you're working on is that really covering the items on this sheet of paper, right? And when you're done with it, then boom, okay? Shoot. I have to tell them about some of the inconsistencies in the dates because for some reason the due date it's shown as I have to talk to Anais about some of the dates. But sorry, give me 1 second. Let me grab a pen. Oh, how come I don't have a pen? But for now, September 20th, that's the topic paper, right? And October 15th, not October 15th. Yeah, let's definitely settle on September 20th for the topic paper. And if you get done early, brilliant. And work on something else, right? Let me circle this. Any questions so far? No? Okay. All right, so let's take a short break. I need some more water. My water glass is empty. Let's do a 5 minute, and then I'll come back and talk about the sample paper a little bit, um, so that so that when you read it, you understand why each sentence is in there and how you can model your introduction section, meaning the topic paper, the first paper, on this student's paper, okay? If this one works, and if you do something that is more or less equivalent to this, it's gonna work, right? Okay? So my clock, it says 7:44. Let's come back at 7:50. All right. I have to yeah, get a drink of water. See you in a bit. I'm back. I forgot, did I say 50 or 51? It's been a long day. 750, did I say 750? Okay. All right, let's take a look at the paper, right? If you have the sample approved capstone paper. All right, formatting stuff. We'll deal with the abstract. Actually, the abstract is probably the last piece of the puzzle because the abstract summarizes everything. And we haven't done much besides the topic, beyond the topic and a little bit of the literature review. So there's nothing really to work on at this moment when it comes to the abstract. Instead, I want you to focus on the introductory section, okay? So pages 1 through 3. And if we look at each paragraph, well, first of all, the topic, the impact of competitive federalism on economic development strategies. Now, the phrasing is very broad, right? And for a lay person, go like, huh? What are you talking about? When you read the topic, immediately you're thinking about what is competitive federalism. See, immediately, that's what you want to know in the introductory section before you read the rest of the paper, right? Economic development strategies, that's a very broad term. It could mean so many things. Again, in the introductory section, you should explain to your readers what exactly do you mean by the economic development strategies. So let's take a look at this student's introduction section and see what she has done to introduce the readers to her research proposal. So once again, if you read the title of the paper, competitive federalism. So that is a big term, one of those like boom term that you have to explain. And that involves, of course, citations, right? Not really in terms of a literature review, but from a definition point of view, right? Using a citation to define something, to explain something in your research topic. So, of course, I'm not going to read the whole thing, right? And if you look at the first paragraph, it's introducing the importance of the topic. What exactly are we talking about? Are we talking about economic development where? Economic development strategies, are we talking about the entire economy or a specific chunk of the economy? And very quickly, right? Economic development strategies, if you look at the first paragraph, it's laid out in general. And there's already a citation, right? And then in the second sentence, public sector spending. Again, identifying, telling your readers exactly what slice of the entire problem that you are looking at in the research, right? Public sector. So economic development, broad, very broad. Public sector, smaller, right? And then some basic knowledge about what public sector spending it's about and how it affects economic development policies. And then what's interesting is that read the sentence that says extensive analysis. New York Times, meaning, and I kind of talked about this in 620, meaning in the introductory section, it is not a bad idea to use news articles, legitimate news sources, all right? Certain news sources don't count. As a way to create a context, how big is a problem, right? You shouldn't use news media in the literature review. But in the introduction section, it's actually a good idea because usually there are news articles are a little bit more general, more broad, introducing a problem to a general audience, right? So that's why it's really useful to quote a news story or two to reflect the magnitude of the problem. And in this case, extensive analysis from the New York Times also reflects the scale, see, scale, the scale of the problem that you're working on, right? How big is it, right? How many people are affected? How much money is involved? Money, money, money always draw attention in the introductory section, right? And before you know it, look at the same sentence, right? 21 states grant more than $1 billion in incentives, money, scale, and money, right? Well, scale in terms of population, but also money. So yeah, work something in there to tell your readers, well, yeah, a lot of money is at stake, right? What can I say, right? And then the next paragraph, according to Kindleberger and Herrick. Aha, why that quote? Economic growth means more output, while economic development implies both more output and changes in the technical and institutional arrangements by which it is produced and distributed. Really, really important, right? Because economic important, or even defining what economic development means, it tells you how you can measure it later on. Remember measurement from the 620, right? The reason why I was driving all of you crazy about operationalization and measurement is that it actually really matters in discussing later on in the method section, discussing, well, how you're gonna measure certain things, right? Okay, so that quote, if you think about it, is a very effective way of not just defining something, but giving your work credibility. Because it's not just your work, you are using published and well recognized material to define your topic. And again, why reinvent the wheel, right? Give me 1 second. I turn on the stove and something might be burning. Hold on. We're good. Any questions so far? Right? These so-called arrangements carry on with the sentence after the quote, right? Involve the exchange of public dollars for investment, notably, blah, 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 blah. Again, expanding on that one quote to further clarify what type of economic development the writer is trying to address. All right? From the reader's point of view, it's always a little bit confusing because all the thoughts are in the writer's head, right? Okay, so yeah, clarifying what types of economic development and what context, where, right? So, and then next page, page number 2. Remember that page that I mentioned in the syllabus, right? Follow it. A description of the chosen topic and its justification. The second item is research aims. So page 1 in the paper, that's the first item, right? Telling you the describing the topic and its justification. Because justification is like, whoa, look at 21 states and $1 billion at stake. And then research aims, that's the second page. So the second paragraph of the page, this study focuses on findings about the government's role in devising policies favorable for business investment given the public costs associated with these policies and the sufficiency of benefits stemming from the usage. You don't need to understand the paper, but you need to understand why things are done this way, right? For your purpose, because you're writing on a different topic and it could be a completely different set of ideas, concepts, and readings. But you have to understand what this person is doing in each paragraph, right? So it would be a good idea for you to model that too. This study, blah, 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 blah. This study does what, right? Focusing on what? The review will also evaluate scrutiny of firm-specific incentives due to insufficient return, blah, 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 right? And once again, don't forget, there are citations sprinkled. You find citation in places, right? Again, always referencing the existing material. The next paragraph down the page is quite interesting. This study uniquely looks. Aha! This study is not just like any other study, but this study uniquely, specifically, whatever, right? Highlight what you are doing that is different from the existing literature, right? That item leading into item number 3, the research question, right? The research question. This study uniquely looks at competitive federalism theory as a useful lens through which to view how, that's where the research question begins, how public agencies behave when it comes to formulating economic development strategies, particularly when vying for the same company's investment. So when you have time, when we get off this session, take a look at this sentence, right? Because it's highlighting the research question. And it would be useful to have something like that in your introductory section to very accurately and concisely pointing out what you are doing, right? There's little applied research on intergovernmental. Always say there's not either little research or insufficient research on whatever that you're doing. Because otherwise, if everything is sufficiently researched, why are you doing it, right? Always tell people that, yeah, there's plenty out there, but it's not enough. That's where I come in, to fill in the gap, or blah, 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 right? If you can actually find a meta-analysis, that's even better, right? Because that helps you summarize whatever is missing from the discourse. And sometimes it's not just one paragraph to explain what you are doing, right? Overall, page 3, overall competitive federalism provides a basis for understanding. And once again, how much do we know about competitive federalism? That's in the literature review. That's where it gets extended, and you look at the existing literature, the studies on competitive federalism, right? Overall competitive federalism provides a basis for understanding both the political motivations and rationale of public administrators. Now, here's the thing. It's one topic, right? Competitive federalism. But think about it, right? There are so many elements or aspects within that broad general topic that you can discuss in your literature review. So paragraph, 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 paragraph. And the last paragraph in the introduction, this study strives to ascertain whether we can look to competitive federalism theory to posit expectations about public agencies' use of firm-specific tax incentives for economic development given existing research on the merits of this strategy. Specifically, so first of all, ascertain, right? Which you can address again in the last section, the contribution to the field or policy recommendation, right? Last sentence, Specifically, can competitive federalism shape our understanding of economic development strategies utilized by governing bodies? And secondly, does competitive federalism compel behavior that compromises desired outcomes and therefore a strategy's intended purpose? The sentence is a little clunky, but guess what? Specifically, that whole sentence, those are the two research questions that being addressed in the paper, right? You don't actually have to understand what exactly in the world is going on, but you need to understand in this section what are the functions of each sentence, right? And to have this in front of you, it's actually really helpful in structuring your topic paper that is due on the 20th, right? So yeah, I would say, and it's just 3 pages. And so I would strongly encourage you to read this section, not necessarily the content, but really think about what is the point, what is each sentence doing in the introductory section, and then go back to this page in the syllabus and see if are you hitting all these items, right? And a couple of other things I've posted on Canvas in case you're still struggling with your research question. There's one link, right, that says suggested topic for public administration research. Now, don't let me see cut and paste topic, all right? But they should be helpful for you to come up with a topic on your own. Fine tune or twist a topic to something else that interests you or something that you've come across. Better yet, some other paper that you've written in a previous class. There's nothing wrong with that, especially when it comes to the literature. And then when you have time, look at the USC link that I've posted. Organize your social research paper, the research question, the research problem and research question. Now, particularly if you look at that USC link, there's a whole bunch of there's a section that says, so what? Now that's useful for your thinking process. Because if you have that internal thinking process, keep asking yourself questions, clarity and precision, demonstrate a researchable topic, identify what would be studied, blah, 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 blah. Because that's how the committee would be thinking, right? So if in the process of working, if you're thinking with these so what questions, then probably it's going to be good work. Okay. Why am I yelling in the microphone? Any questions? Anything? You can type something on the chat room, or you can unmute and ask a question. It's fine. Anything? Oh, okay. I'll take a look at the link again and make sure that it works. Let me take a look. Hold on. Oops. Am I still recording? First of all, I have to make sure it's still recording. Yeah, it's still recording. Otherwise, there are several people who are not here. Yeah, we're missing about 7 or 8 folks. and take a look at the support material. Everything in there is going to help. Okay. Uh, where is it? Aha, the research problem, research question. Now click on the banner. It takes you to the other page, right? And then there's a little topic in the heading that says in white that says research question slash the research problem question. It will take you to another page, right? And then really take some time to look at the page. It really helps, right, for you to formulate and critique your research problem until it it helps. Okay. Anything else I should know? Anything or actually, I wonder how many people are still online and how many people are already gone and just going to come back and look at the recording. Okay. Nothing? Okay, good. All right. So, yeah, send me your research papers or your research proposals. Has what? How long is the version? Well, depends on how much work we have to get through, right? Some days will be shorter, but I try to keep it within 2 hours because your colleagues, some of your colleagues, don't get off work until 6. So, for the sake of being helpful, pushing it back to start at 6:30. And usually it should be a little longer because we have to go through the syllabus and you know and the paper. But usually it should end about around 8. So I would shoot for that. Okay. What else? Any questions regarding the content of the capstone project or anything else? No. Now you can always, or not, you can, but you should always raise questions in the Canvas discussion link. All right, because like I said, many of your colleagues might have a similar question or doubt. So that would be very helpful if you go there so that everybody can see the response and clarification and maybe links or so on and so forth. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, like I said, good to see you guys, and it's kind of interesting that I end up working with you or you end up working with me, and at times it will get frustrating. At times that either you will get frustrated or I'll get frustrated, but that's the nature of the beast. And whatever happens, I'm here to help, and I'm here to make sure that you get through this process and finish your work. And so that's the promise. So if and I apologize if I from time to time I seem like either impatient or I seem terse, but that's just some of my part of my personality, and it's not to try to make you feel bad or anything. Okay. And the other thing is that, try to dig up whatever you have, whatever you can find from 620 and do a quick review, right? And that's going to help. because there's a reason why I taught 620 that way, right? And um, if you still have that final paper, I don't know how much you keep with you, but take a look at what you have done and see if that helps you planning ahead. This process is all about planning ahead, right? And so if you plan further, it's going to help. Okay. All right. Did I just hear somebody yell? No. Okay. So nothing else. Hello. Huh? Okay. If nothing else, I'll just stop the session here, and then make sure that if you have any questions, just make sure that you post something on under the um, discussion forum on Canvas. Okay, and then I'll look at what you send me as soon as possible, and develop ahead. All right. Okay. So I'll see you guys later. I'll stop recording now.